Okay, here we are again after a little pause. Juan Carlos Delgado from World Archery commenting our next future match, which is the 1/8 finals for the women Recurve division. And with John Dudley, our expert in compound, great guy, great archer, fantastic coach, and helping us to comment here. Hi, John. Back again.
Yep, back again.
Back in business.
I'm looking forward to this match. Two countries I'm partial to right here.
You are right. Your wife from UK and your heart from US.
Yep, exactly. This will be a good match. Both of these shooters were fairly close in their ranking rounds, and as much as I'd hate to say it, the conditions are getting a little bit more tricky since the last match. And with the women here, obviously shooting just a little bit slower than the guys. That arrows has more time there in the air to be affected by this kind of conditions. And
totally right.
Nice 10 to start things off right there.
Yes.
I mean, that's
from Brown, she started with an excellent 10. Mackenzie and Gilder from UK started with a 6, and now seems that okay.
Two 10s. X10 actually.
Probably they're high. That's why we cannot see it in the camera.
Yeah, I can't see the.
Yes.
I can't see.
But okay, here now she has a 9.
There we go. We've got a 9 and an 8.
Wow.
A good start though. Still a fairly good start with the conditions. I know that she had to make quite a few adjustments on her sight. She was shooting quite a bit high on the first practice rounds, and it's good to see. She actually took an extra, she used the whole time clock during her practice then to really focus on, she shot more arrows than what a lot of people do during the practice ends, but she was really focused on trying to get her sight set for what the wind is doing right now, and got a little bit more of a headwind than it was kind of coming a little bit more across. Now it's coming a little bit more in front, so.
Yep, it has changed slightly. And what we have to remind our fans or who are following us is that between different ends, there's a lot of time. So we finished the 1/16 finals, and there was a break probably from 15, 16 minutes.
Yeah.
And archers get cold, and there are no way that they can go to practice field to shoot a bit. So we have given them 3 ends of practice here, but the 3 ends, when a cold condition with winds, with rain, you don't get warm so fast in 3 ends with 3 arrows.
Absolutely, and especially when it's damp like this, it cuts right through you. I'm sitting here, I didn't pack a jacket, it's kind of dumb, so I've got a garbage bag on, and once you get that damp setting in, it just kind of chills you right to your bones, and sometimes that gets tough. I know that for me, a big transition when I was learning to shoot a recurve was just how important it was to keep your release hand warm compared to, when I shot a compound, it was, really wasn't near as important to have your release hand as, feeling comfortable like that.
We have the feeling in the string and the fingers, and as soon as the finger get cold or gets more or less dead for the humidity, you don't feel it the same. The release not the same.
Absolutely.
And the confidence, you lose the confidence because you don't have this great feeling of the string on your string hand.
I'm kind of curious your philosophy on something I meant to ask you in the last round. So there's always a little bit of a debate for what you do with your equipment when there's a day like today where you're dealing with rain. Is it better, because some archers really try to shoot and get their bow right out of the conditions, and then some archers just leave it out there. I always kind of just thought I should leave it out there because I figured I don't want it to continually soak up water because I'm babying it. I'd almost rather sight in with that string being heavy and and almost just let it do what it's gonna do anyway by the end of the day.
I have the same tendency in the recurve bow. We keep it outside. Of course, you can protect a bit the grip. You can protect your finger tap, which is very important. But the bow itself, I let it get wet before making the first shot. You just make a couple of little release with the string to take out the drops. But I keep it outside, and I want to protect it too much. and just make sure that the grip is dry and the finger tap is protected.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. Did you like to shoot a lot of wax in your string?
Excellent question. Let's say in the old time it was a must. You have to put wax because the string went already. Nowadays most of the material has already wax, the one I was using. So I don't think it's so important nowadays. But what is more important is to keep them well maintained, meaning that some archers have the tendency to keep it too long, and after 6-7 months with hard practice, the string is not the same anymore.
Oh yeah.
So changing every 2-3 months, having enough second or third string that you have trained with them, and especially the finger tap or releaser. Many archers still have the tendency to have only one releaser in the or one finger tap. That's not it's not safe. It's really risky. You should have 2 or 3 that you have trained, you have practiced, and perform more or less the same as the one that you use.
Yeah, because the ones a nice finger tab is one that's been well used.
Yes.
I remember the first one I ever got. Rod White actually gave me one of his, and it was amazing. It almost feels like it's just made perfectly for your hand. And then I bought a new one, and I thought, this thing feels terrible because it's just so thick and coarse. So yeah, that's a great. For any of you out there, you know, a lot of times if you're practicing and you're having those days where you're really having to do high numbers of reps for your coach, that'd be great days to try to break in a backup finger tab for sure.
Warm up at 5 meters before the practice. You can get a new one and get the form and get the shape that you need. But it's totally true that when you get a new finger tap, the feeling is awful.
Yeah, it is.
I forgot how to shoot.
Feels like you have a piece of cardboard in your hand.
Totally right.
Yep.
I'm not sure if in compound it's the same with the releaser. I think it's not so critical.
No. I mean, so much of the time that you spend on your release on the compound side is just the activation of the trigger, you know, trigger pressure, cocking pressure, and then travel. You know, you spend so much time focusing on getting that exactly right. And once you do, you're pretty much set to go. It is quite a bit different. I can sense coffee behind us here. I could smell it.
Yes, it's coming.
Oh,
because archers get cold, but commentators get cold too.
Oh yeah.
So we see it's getting quite slow. The rain is slowing down the competition. We have more targets, 16 more targets with matches there going on, which mean that some targets have some more time for scoring. Some archers take some time
and
to
pass-throughs. A lot of
happening in some
today.
of the compound archers. They have passed through your right and take time to find the hole, to find the score, and to retrieve the arrow wherever it was behind. So archers are just coming back from the target 59. So we will be back in our match in a minute. But this is it's important time. We were mentioning yesterday that it's a lot of time that archers can think, and archers can start to get fear, can start to focus. It's a sport that have a little action, but there's a long time between the next action.
Oh yeah. So you see Lloyd here, he's coach with GB and obviously did a lot of work with the U.S. athletes for many years. He doesn't look too happy in these conditions right now. He's a little bit more serious. Sometimes it's nice to see the difference in interaction between the coaches and their athletes. You know, you look at the U.S. You could tell they were having a lot of fun between ends, whereas with the GB side they were a lot more serious between ends. But again, that's what really makes a good coach, is knowing what that athlete needs during that downtime. Some people, you know, me, I'd almost like to just have my own thoughts and be able to deal with myself rather than have any distractions. But some people need that distraction almost, so that they're not thinking too much about what's going on.
I guess that's happened to me very often. Archers come and say, "Can you help me?" It's like you evaluate, and I give you immediately respond. You have to know the archer. You have to know a personality. You have to know his concept or her concept of shooting, and what kind of shot he's trying to do. And when you understand what he's doing, you can give a tip. But it's not like a doctor, it's pain here. What could be?
Yeah.
Okay, we can see the shot she's doing.
First round went to Mackenzie Brown. Now we kind of need a 10 to tie right here. 10 to tie. This would be pretty important. get this second end tied up here. Looked pretty good coming out and pretty high right.
She has a reaction.
Yep.
The typical reaction when you see the side is moving because of wind, and you try to just compensate the clicker sound when you feel the side is out of the yellow, and you react.
Yep. So we've got Mackenzie is going to be up 2 after these first 2 ends already.
Yes, 4-0 as advantage from Mackenzie, which means that she managed better the rain against a UK archer. A UK expert in rain.
Exactly. Yeah, most of the time, the UK archers, they can just walk around with their normal everyday skin in this kind of weather. This is they're used to walking their kids to school every day in this stuff. I remember when I went to England and spent a lot of time there, lived there for a while too. You never knew what to pack. If you'd have to have an umbrella, a sweater, and a T-shirt in your car all the time. And even when I'd go to practice, you'd have to have a raincoat,
always there,
a hoodie, or a T-shirt as well. One thing that was that's really different for, I think, a lot of the Europeans versus, at least here in the States, is finding place to practice during your time schedule. That's like, for me, I always enjoyed training here at home so much better because I was able to shoot in the mornings and the evenings when I could really focus on form during the time where there was minimal wind, and I could really rate how I was shooting and make sure everything was good. But once I went to England, and you're having to really only be able to shoot where there's other club, where you're waiting for your club to allow you to shoot in the evenings or whatever, you're at the mercy of everybody else's schedule. And it was also really hard to find a place to practice on your own with any type of distance, just because everything's so much smaller together, I guess. So I think some of the archers, especially the ones that are in UK, they tend to practice in foul weather conditions all the time.
Yep.
Which at something like this is normally a big advantage for them.
Because you're used to it, yes.
I
remember the time, sorry, I remember the time that many years ago that a day like this, they say, okay, today no practice. Say, no, today is not the day to shoot. So I was one of the few that said, no, I have to get used to it. And I remember they were telling in my country, in Spain, said, this guy is crazy, he likes to get wet. Said, no, want to get prepared. And this has changed completely. Nowadays, all the archers, really, the competitive archers understand they have to get ready for everything. For heat, for rain, for wind. This is an outdoor sport.
Exactly. 100%.
I like a smiley face. I just saw a Korean archer coming, very smiley. It's good to see smiley faces when the day is like this.
Because she probably just shot 3 X's over there.
Good reason to smile.
Yeah. If you see a Korean archer smiling, they potentially just shot another world record. It's really, really comforting to see, for me, being someone who I really like to see this sport grow, is, and we talked a little bit about this in the last match, but in between these 2 matches, I had a lot of time to be able to walk around, not just on the recurve side, but also over on the compound side. And there's just such a difference in the level of foundation that these juniors have. They almost look like miniature versions of all the top pros that you see.
Totally right.
And it used to never be that way.
No, we were discussing
There'd
yesterday.
be 1 or 2 like that.
Yeah.
But now there's so many of them. It's going to be cool to see where archery will be 10 years from now, when all these are at the point where they're really maturing into their prime for the sport.
We are right now one of the most tough sports to get quota place for Olympic. It's so competitive. Let's say that the top level has increased a little bit, but the bottom of this top group has rise. So it's a very little frame where you have 400 or 500 archers that trying to make the spot. So and many more countries.
3 spots, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. We were commenting yesterday with coaches, international coaches here, and it's impressive to see how the kids, the form, the basics are much, much better just with the last World Championship, that is 2 years ago. And it's impressive how the performance is getting better, how the form is getting better, how the scores are getting better in many countries. It's not just the top, the classical Korea, US, Ukraine, France. It's many more countries coming with surprisingly good performance. Brazil, we have India, that is not here, unfortunately, for visas issues. But whenever they compete, they have done great score and great form.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
China, of course, strong. Chinese Taipei.
Here we go, another 10 start off for Mackenzie. The work ethic in a lot of those countries, the countries that are still in some developmental stages, their work ethic is so high because they're just striving to get to that. Sometimes the best people that I've worked with when it comes to really applying what you teach, actually one of them was India when I spent spent a lot of time in India with the team there, and great students.
So we see, come back to the match, and Brown make a nice group on the left, but still very consistent, very strong. When Gilder is still struggling to try to get her shots in the center, is struggling left and right, she's not feeling comfortable. We can see it.
Yeah, you can clearly see.
Body language in the face. She knows she can do better. She knows she has been shooting better before. She's not finding the timing on the space.
This weather's in her head. She's not comfortable to know where she should really hold, because it seems like she'll make a choice to go one place and then her arrows are going to the opposite side. You can tell she's frustrated, and she's committing to her shot good and actually going through the shot good, but obviously sometimes, especially when you have a shorter draw length, you're dealing in conditions like this, it is challenging, no question about it, but you can always tell. And when an archer's a little bit unsure of what's going on, when they fall into that spotting scope really quick, because they really have no idea where things went. So
we see the happiness
6-0
of
right
Mackenzie.
here.
Yes, 6-0 was a straight match. It was clear that Sally, she was not feeling comfortable, and it's very difficult to make a good competition when you don't get this confidence that you know that when this good shot is going in.
Oh yeah.
She was feeling some good shot, but was not going there because the wind, because the confidence, because whatever. But it's very difficult to be competitive and come back when you don't feel the good shot, when you know this is not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice too on a day like this. Mackenzie probably did exactly what I would want to do, and that'd be to go out there and focus on just making good shots and trying to get out of this as quick as possible and not stretch it out too long, because obviously the less you're out here shooting in it, probably the less you're reinforcing maybe a potential bad habit or something. A lot of times when the conditions are foul, you just have to commit to a shot and let the cards fall where they may, but just focus on committing to that shot on the line, where you're at on your line, rather than focusing on what's happening down there on the target.
Watching the rest of the field, we can see the archers are already scoring. It's very interesting to see all the umbrellas on the target.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yes.
There are plenty of umbrellas.
We have the teepees, the Indian teepees at the back. The organizers have done an effort to make sure that we understand where we are and get the tradition of this region here. With the opening ceremony, we have some native Indians making performance.
Cool.
The kids enjoyed very much. They were dancing with them. It was very interesting to see the cultural interaction.
It's
any kind of religion, any kind of race, any kind of country were dancing all together with the Indian native. It was very, very funny.
Absolutely. It's neat. In the States, you have, because we're so big here, there's so many different cultures within our country. You don't have to go far, and there's a whole different type of history. Last weekend, while you were in Turkey, I was in Washington, D.C. So, the history in Washington, D.C., and our founding fathers is so much different than, you come out here to the Dakotas, where the Native Indians, were pretty much, housed and really had all their roots here when our country started to get, started to expand and develop, and the Native Americans have such a presence from kind of from right here, then all the way west. You just really get into a lot of really cool history with the Native Americans, and the dancing's really cool.
Yeah, we know the one are not from here. We see this in the Hollywood movies, so for them was like, wow, real Indians.
Yeah,
and we are archers. Very often we are considered like Legolas in Lord of the Ring, or like Rambo, or like Indians.
Yep.
Very far what is archery right now.
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about development in the World Championship right now in Copenhagen, that is happening in 4 weeks. We have a record of countries participating. 100 countries are coming to a World Championship. More than 600 archers. Has been a big surprise for us.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
We have increased not only the members, but also the top archer that wants to come to the World Championship. And it will be amazing competition, huge field as well. Unfortunately, I expect a bit of wind. So archers, get ready. It's going to be a little bit windy.
It's a beautiful city, great food.
We see all the countries here. We have 52 countries in this Youth World Championship. And waiting now for the next match. And we will stop now our comment here, and we will come back for the next match. Thank you, John. Always a pleasure, and see you in a while.
Absolutely. I'll be sitting right here.